Hi, this is Kun. I'm a third-year graduate student in Southern Illinois University. In this presentation, I'm going to briefly talk about my background and go through my glass journey with you. Just so you know, this talk might not be politically correct in a lot of people's eye, but no matter what, this is my story and I'm going to share it with you. I'm from Hong Kong, a tiny city that holds more than 7.5 million residents of various nationalities. I grew up in this hostile city that I always call home. I got my bachelor degree in Hong Kong Baptist University, majoring in visual arts. Being a glassblower was never on my bucket list, because when I was in college, the school I went to was the only place you can find a hot shop in Hong Kong. I was focusing more on metal sculpture at that time. The previous glass studio tech/TA retired the year I graduated and asked me to take over his job when I only know how to make a chunky cup in glass. This is how I started my glass journey. With all the luck and courage, along with the words my mentor at that time left me, I started my own path to be in the glass world. I spent 2 years traveling around during summer and winter breaks while I was working full-time in school. I met these people very early on in my learning progress. I don't really have time to introduce them one by one, but they are very important people for me as a glass blower, as a young individual trying to figure out her life. I have to at least give them a credit here. As a glass blower, more specifically a glass sculptor, I rely on my community a lot. As a little more than 5 feet tall, young-looking Asian female working in a hot shop, I can't tell how glad I am to have these people guide me along. From all the things I learned from these people, I found my own voice in glass. This is my second or third glass sculpture. I have anxiety and depression since I was 13. I started on and off in my medical cycle. It was a rough time that I had to get back on my medicine after a year break and realized I'll probably live my whole life with that. I felt ashamed to be able to feel my own emotion, so I make this work for myself as my own therapy, telling my inner child that everything will be fine. This is an unrefined work in a lot of ways, but I love it with my whole heart. This work set out the tone of most of my work in atmosphere building. Because I was technically not allowed to have my own blow slot in school as an employee, so I sneak in every day in the studio blowing glass after midnight till 4 a.m. by myself, with a furnace, a pickup kiln, and map gas, and started working again the next day at 8, along with my 2 other part-time jobs in the weekends. I was exhausted every day for sure, but I was happy. I had a relatively stable income, had all the resources I need. Whenever I have a question, I know who to go to, and I still figure out a way to blow glass. That's my first priority. I felt like I was living in a dream. I can do whatever my heart told me to, and I know there will be someone I can trust to guide me through this journey. In 2020, I decided to leave home because of the complicated political situation in Hong Kong. The amount of friends and people I know that were arrested and the changes in the city forced me to be aboard. I still count Hong Kong as home, but I don't have a plan or way to bring myself there safe and sound. I have been traveling, and sometimes I feel like I packed my soul in a suitcase, carrying on my dream and passion in glass without a place that I can actually settle down yet. And now I'm in SIU finishing up my master's degree in glass. I started to think about my works in a more in-depth way. My glass figures manifest the words I leave unsaid in my intimate relationship to avoid communicating verbally. Self-disclosure is a crucial part of any intimate relationship, and yet, in my culture, revealing your true thoughts is a dangerous act that exposes your weaknesses. This work is hanging from a ceiling, walking on a wire, with a very weak sonar sound coming from the figure. It is seeking for your hand. This is how I feel about glass blowing, especially I work with sculpting. Most of the work I made require a lot of planning and teamwork. And you know, it is very hard for you to keep your brain sharp when you're exhausted in the heat. That's why you need your community to back you up. I trust the people I work with 100%. It sounds very sketchy. But as long as I'm on the hot floor, I know I have to. With the faith I have in these people, I can walk on the wire without my eyes. As long as you hold my hand, I know I'll be safe. And now I'm going to show you some of my current research using my hot sculpted figure to tell the story about my Hong Kong identity. This is a picture of Hong Kong in 2019. If you don't know what the complicated political situation I was talking about, this is how bad it was. Hong Kong was a British colonial for 99 years and was handed over to China in 1997. In 2019, there was a huge protest fighting for the extradition law the Chinese government trying to put into Hong Kong. There was tear gas, real bullets, and water cannon trucks. All we had is umbrella and some bricks. That's my whole summer in 2019, running for my life with my handwritten will in my pocket. When I was running in the protest, there was a tear gas chute right next to my left leg. That moment, I know I do not belong to this land anymore. The government was trying to kill us all. I have to leave home to survive, so I came to the United States in the beginning of 2020. My desire to find a community to call home grows stronger and stronger since then. This is Lo Teng. It is a symbol of Hong Kong identity. Lo Teng is one of the myths that took place in Hong Kong with a half fish, half human looking. That will not survive on the land or in the sea. It never fits in. When it cries, its tear becomes pearl. This is a print from a Taiwanese artist using the image of Lo Teng to talk about the handover in 1997. The text on the right basically says, that something tragic happened to the Hong Kong people because of the handover. They lost the freedom of speech, and they were thrown into the sea because of careless talking. They then turned into Lo Teng, stuck in the middle of the land and sea. They will live their tragical life like this forever, no matter how hard they cry. The artist built up this story consciously to describe the circumstances of Hong Kongese from a third-person perspective. Hong Kongese do not belong to Britain or China. They are struggling in the middle, just like Lo Teng. I then take use of this mythological figure and started to find a way to put my own voice in this character. This is the first Phil Lo Teng figure I made. The one on the right is holding two puppets talking to each other, because it can't actually talk and no one understands its words. That's how I feel when I was tired and Cantonese just slipped out my mouth. No one understands my words. I made this work just last year, but this year when I was traveling with my friend, she told me I was sleep-talking in English, which shocked me. At the same time, it makes me realize the Hong Kong part of myself is fading away. That scares me. I try so hard to grab on my Hong Kong identity. What if after all I just blend into the crowd and become one of the people surround? This is an ongoing question I ask myself every day. You Stay in My Tears is a project about my standpoint of my Hong Kong identity, which I think is unresolved, affected my friendship with a childhood friend. We hold different political views and standpoint. That's why we separate. Lo Teng's tears turn into pearls, and my friend will always stay in my tears and be something I hold on tight in heart. This summer, I have a chance to be in Glass House in Belgium for a 2-month residency. I spent the whole time to work with my Hong Kong identity idea and got great help from a friend of mine. Submarine has a lot of meaning for me. When people talk about submarine, it is not a safe place and definitely not a place to find comfort. But for me, it means home. I have only made 2 submarines in my life. The first one was the last piece I made in Hong Kong before I left. I was going through a tough time and feel like I'm sinking in the ocean. So I decided to make a submarine as a metaphor of the last hope before I drowned. That night was the first night I worked with the students. Also the last chance, because that night the protest went very bad. We were working in a hot shop with a rioters alarm on the street. The next day, school stopped. The whole city stopped. That point I realized the people I worked with in the hot shop, they were my submarine that protect me from the craziness of the outside world. They kept me safe and company that night. I was still drowning. This world is still crazy. But I felt like home at that moment. That's why the submarine is in an egg shape, like a protection for the people inside. I was having a lot of pressure during my residency. I was in a tough time that I have to face a lot of problem alone. And without me reaching out, my friend James Deverell came all the way from UK to Belgium to assist me during my residency, just because he said he wanted to listen to my story, which means a lot to me. I've been blowing glass for only 5 or 6 years, and here I am now. I'm excited and kind of nervous of where this material is gonna bring me next. And that's it. Thank you.
How did you, like, I'm sure it was, like, a really difficult decision for you to, like, leave Hong Kong and, like, everything you knew, so, like, how do you, or, like, I guess, like, how has, like, your relationship with people changed, or, like, people that you're close to, like, your family, or, like, your friends, and, like, feel free to, like, not go into too much detail if it's, like, talk about.
How they change? I think besides I'm not around, nothing changed. The connection is always there. The bond is always there. That's why you call it your community.
So you said that you worked from like 12 to 4 by yourself in the hot shop.
Yeah.
And then you went in to use a whole team of glass blowers to help you in your work. Of course, like it'll be different to blow glass by yourself versus a team, but how has that like affected your work, like creatively?
When I'm working by myself, I have to think of how to not break my body a lot. And with a team, I know I got someone I can trust. Like I got someone on the pipe, they will take care of the moil, so I can spend my energy on something else. So that's a great help, I would say.